We will call the meeting to order at 6:32, the regular council meeting, July 2nd, 2024. We have a quorum. All council is present. We will say the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, next up is reports from council. Councilman Ed Waters.
We know it's that time of the year, so just a reminder to everybody, make sure you got your wind stickers in case we have to close out down due to any climate conditions. The lady coming back on the island. I got in touch with animal control and they have 4 quarterly meetings that I am now will be contacted with at that time so that I can attend those and let everybody know what's going on with animal control and who we need to contact in case we need them. Not much has been said about COVID except on the news. They hear there's an uptick. Well, I can tell you there's an uptick on Dogwood because my neighbor said, I told him I had a cold, sore throat. He said, have you checked for COVID? And I said, no, never had, not even thought about it. Well, I was positive. That was about 10 days ago, so it's still around. So if y'all see any of your neighbors and all, and they might be a little under the weather, you might get them to check.
Rick, move this way a little bit. I'm kidding. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. I know you weren't feeling very good last week. Rick Fisher.
I just want to thank everybody that came out and braved the heat on Saturday for the 4th of July celebration down there at the pavilion. I know everybody was sweating their you-know-what's off, but it was a good turnout, and I think everybody had a good time. Other than that, no updates from Parks.
Okay, Jeff Terrell.
Well, nothing to report. Just missed the festivities Saturday. Had some previous commitments and work that afternoon, but thanks to everybody that helped out. I know it was hot out there. So.
It was a little warm. All right, thank you, sir. Alex Scanlon.
No report.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Amanda Fenwick.
Just hope everybody has a happy and safe 4th.
Okay, now it's my turn. Okay, 4th of July was a really good turnout. We had a cool little golf cart parade. I had a couple of riders with me. We had a little fun out there. A lot of people having fun and taking pictures and eating hot dogs and hamburgers. Mike was back there sweating to death helping cook, so thank you for slaving in the heat, Mike. Water Wars, I know you guys are all going to be a little disappointed, but the West doesn't get the Galveston Bay. They named the beer after the East Side. Just ask Johnny. Anyway, a little banter back and forth, but it looked like everybody had a good time for that once again, and it was hot enough that I heard some of the people saying, man, I'm so glad they shot me for like 30 minutes straight. I was dying of heat stroke out there. So never heard that before, that they wanted to get lit up, but some of them had a really good time, so that was fun for everybody. As it all ramp yesterday and today, everything is turned in to Shellmark Engineering, who is our contact. And so all the manatee study, all the sea turtle study, those are now not only turned in to the GLO, but they are now in the proper hands for evaluation. So they are working on that. You know, I try to reiterate, it's been 4.5 years. Are we ever going to get a boat ramp? And be careful when you ask for grant money. It takes a long time. Well, it's taken a lot longer than a long time of what we've been promised before now, but they do have it in their hands, and they are working diligently to approve and move to the next phase of that project, which I believe will be starting the construction phase. So we'll get a permit if they approve everything, and then we'll move into getting bids and whatnot, and then Mike will probably give the next. Okies Pathway lighting, that has arrived along with the Clear Lake Road lighting out front. So you remember we had to reorder some of those fixtures. Some of them got damaged. We sent them back. Well, they're all here, and I got word from GBS Electric that they all are in good shape. I picked up the pathway lighting as we have a different electrician installing those on Okies and delivered those. They picked them up today from us, so they're working on getting that in the schedule. They should be doing that sometime next week. The GBS Electric said they should be installing the Clear Lake Road lights in a couple of weeks. They'll start doing that. Shouldn't take them that long once they start. So we'll have some new lighting up front. Let's see. So this is probably going to be a sore subject for some, but I'm going to touch on it. I'm really not a Facebook guy, and I don't really go to Facebook to get my answers to questions. When I need them, I go to the people we have in the office. I rely on Angie a lot. I rely on Christy a lot. I rely on Mike a lot to do their homework, and we find the correct answers. But I did have knowledge of some things that happened when I was gone on vacation, only to come back to a few people. One of them was a business owner up front and just asking me about emergency work and permitting and is this really happening. So one of the things I want to reiterate is we are not using our police department to do code enforcement, I promise you. There's a difference between code enforcement and an ordinance violation. The police, they take care of our ordinance violations. An ordinance for not having a permit is no different than a speeding ticket or another violation that we have. That is their job. One of the things is that there's just really a difference in code enforcement. Code enforcement means you have a license, you have insurance, you're registered with the city, you've already pulled a permit, and you're calling to get an inspection. That's code enforcement. I'm never going to ask these guys to do that. That's not their job. But I had to act on, along with Amanda was in a meeting with FEMA with us. FEMA was really coming down hard on us because of this cab that the previous administration, quite frankly, ignored for 4.5 years. And most of you know that by now. So we had to do some things to shore up how we were enforcing our ordinances because they're coming back. Although we closed it, the deal was once we got it closed, we are going to be held with our feet to the fire to follow our ordinances. And if we don't do that, when they drive back around this city and they see an electrical panel that looks brand new and it's a foot off the ground, they're going to come to this young lady's office and say, hey, I need all the permits on this address that I wrote down. And when she hands them that packet, if there's not a permit for that, that's going to be a ding against us not enforcing our ordinances. And they're going to suspend our flood insurance. So that's a big reason for us to be paying attention to that. Now, the only thing we have the police department doing is saying, hey, guys, do you have a permit? That's simply it. But when you hire somebody that doesn't have a driver's license, let alone being insured with the city, registered with the city, not registered with the state, doesn't have an air conditioning license, they don't have a business card, and when you ask them, because I've seen the video, do you have a company name, and all those answers are no, no, and no, you put our police department in a situation where they have to make a decision. And the decision is stop work. You got to stop work till you get a permit. Now there's something about emergency work. Well, if you were a licensed contractor and you've done this for a while, or you work for a licensed contractor, then you know if there's after hours work or work on a Friday and we're not open the next day, you are surely allowed to do that in an emergency situation. I don't have a definition of an emergency situation, but Mike and I and Angie have looked through our ordinance. We are going to define an emergency situation because I believe that all the citizens here should know what that is. It's kind of hard to police that if you don't know what it is, and it's not clear in the ordinance, but every contractor that must be licensed by the state, and those are plumbers, electricians, and mechanical contractors, AC guys like myself. We have to be licensed by the state. We have a minimum amount of insurance we must carry, and that's to protect you guys as the consumer. Because if you have someone working on your neighbor's house and he's not licensed and that house catches on fire and it burns your house down, what happens if your insurance company says, we're not paying for that? We should have been able to go to that licensed contractor's insurance that's on file and get that. That's a problem. It's really set up for y'all's safety and to cover us as a city when FEMA comes back around to say, yeah, we have the permits for that. Licensed contractor did that work. Hey, if it's wrong, they got to come back and fix it, right? But at least there's a paper trail on us doing our job. So I'm not going to go to Facebook and get real into some of the comments that were made, but I wanted the public to know those are a few things that are true. I can assure you, I'm going to reassure you, don't go to Facebook to get your answers. Come to this young lady here. Come to Mike. Go to the police chief. If it's financial, get a hold of Cheryl. There's a lot of information. These guys have tried to serve you for more than 10 years. We have an exceptional staff that loves this city, and they like serving you. I'm not wrong when I say that, am I, Angie? Angie enjoys interacting with you. Everybody comes in there. They're good people. You have good people working for you. We are not trying to pick on somebody. We are doing something a little different than we're all used to, and that's trying to follow the rules. Because we haven't done a good job at that, and I'm going to admit that. Okay, but under my watch, we're going to follow the rules. That may not make everyone happy, but I'm going to tell you, it's the thing we should have been doing all along, and it would have prevented a lot of the things that we're going through now. But we are not out to get anybody. I'm a citizen. I know Angie's not a citizen. I know Mike's not a citizen. I know Cheryl's not a citizen. But I'm going to tell you what, your council are citizens. They pay taxes. They live in the same neighborhood you are. We are not out to get anybody. We are all here to have the same fun you have during water wars and help run the city. The difference is we stepped up and we wanted to make a positive difference in our community. We wanted to give something back. That doesn't mean we're better than you guys. You have the opportunity to do what we did. But we are not trying to do something that's crooked or wrong. We are trying to get things right. I give you my word on that. And I'm going to end on that note. Don't go to Facebook to get the answers. Please come to the city. They have the correct answers. Some of these stories on Facebook, you only see a portion of it. And then a lot of decisions are made. And those decisions are made on false information. And that's sad if that's what you base your thought of how the people that are running the city are running the city, because it's not true. It's just absolutely not true. And I'll stop right there. I didn't mean to get on a high horse, but I wanted everyone to know where to go get your information, that there are provisions for these things in emergency situations. We're not out to get anybody. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to move on to the next subject. Police Chief David Donaldson's not here, so Nathan Flores will take his spot.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The total summary of stats for the City of Clear Lake Shores Police Department for June 2024, we had 366 traffic contacts, 11 driving while intoxicated, 5 narcotic offenses, 0 accidents, 6 public intoxication, 38 total arrests. We had 1 disturbance, 4 thefts, 4 city ordinance violations, and 9 assist other agencies. We had 122 residential checks and 414 business checks and 5 welfare checks. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Flores. City Administrator Mike Cram.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a little bit to go over here. Bear with me, please. East parking lot. So we met with Colliers last week. A group of us did to suggest some concerns we had, or to share some concerns we had with certain design features of their rendering and their engineering, or the design of the parking lot. So we expressed those to them. They went back to the drawing board promptly, and by Friday I had a new rendering that took into account all of our shared concerns. So we'll be looking at that moving forward. I have another meeting with them tomorrow to discuss some other projects, including Clear Lake Road rehab, the pedestrian bridge and abutments and associated sidewalks, as well as a few other things. Wanted to touch a minute on the tropical system that we had a couple weeks ago, and just give credit to Jorge Odi and the police officers. They spent at least 48 hours, day and night, moving barricades as water came up, water receded, trying to keep traffic flow when people were coming and going from work and to work. And so my hat's off to them because I didn't even have to ask. I just drove around the island and it was already being done. So thank you very much to Jorge and Odie and the PD. That brings me to wanting to remind everyone what season we're in. That Alberto, I think, was the name of the tropical system. That was a warm-up. That wasn't even a real concern for us. But it should have been an eye-opener for everybody. And toward that end, I want to remind everyone we have hurricane preparedness or disaster preparedness guides, hurricane tracking charts up here, and more at City Hall. Grab two, take one to a friend and all your family members, and make sure you have a go bag, a plan, all your medications, everything that you need to make sure your family, your loved ones, your pets are safe during this hurricane season. We issued an RFP. Thank you to Cheryl for doing all the grunt work on that for debris monitoring services in case we do have a storm. One of the things that FEMA requires is not only a very intricate bid process, but a federally mandated set of statutes for bidding and constraints for bidding to be able to qualify for reimbursement from FEMA should we have a disaster and have a lot of debris removal. So that's one of the contracts that Cheryl and I have been working on. We closed that out on the 18th, and we will open those bids then. 18th, I think, of July? Yes. So hopefully we will have a contract to the council to consider by the next council meeting. That's what we're going to be striving for anyway. We interviewed 3 candidates for the communication specialist position and have selected Teresa Viola. As many of you know, Teresa served in that capacity for the city before. She's anxious to get started. She happens to be out of town. So she will be transitioning with Valerie next week. For those of you who are aficionados of the library, Valerie made a really nice video with some background story on the library and how it became what it is and the things that they have there for our citizens to use. And I encourage you all, if you need a nice, cool place to just go chill out in the quiet, it's not a busy place. It's well protected because you're right under the police department, and you can sit there in silence and air conditioning and read the books that you want. Great place for kids to go during the summer, too. The sliding doors on the second story of City Hall have been installed, and one of the bathroom remodels is complete. We did discover some water damage on areas on the south side of the second story, so we're gathering quotes currently to see what it'll take to correct those issues. And finally, for the first time ever in the history of the city of Clear Lake Shores, the city received the Distinguished Budget Recognition Award from the Government Finance Officers Association of Texas. From the website, GFOA established the Distinguished Budget Presentation Awards Program in 1984 to encourage and assist state and local governments to prepare budget documents of the very highest quality that reflect both the guidelines established by the National Advisory Council on State and Local Budgeting and the GFOA's best practices on budgeting, and then to recognize individual governments that succeed in achieving that goal. Approximately 1,800 governments, including states, cities, counties, special districts, school districts, and more, have been recognized for transparency in budgeting. To earn recognition, budget documents must meet program criteria and excel as a policy document, financial plan, operations guide, and communication tool. Now, 1,800 may sound like they just give one to everybody, but in the state of Texas alone, there are over 5,300 governmental entities that vie for these documents. Most of them have accounting departments. They have finance departments, budgeting departments. We have Cheryl. This is the first time she's ever put in for one, and she hit a home run. So at this time, Mayor and Council, if we can get a picture with you guys with Cheryl, I would really appreciate that, just to recognize her for her efforts.
And
It's
this was a national thing also, right? Not just Texas?
This is GFOA of Texas that gave this award. It is national?
Yeah.
Well, then I'll shut up and let Cheryl talk.
Might be smart to listen to her, actually. Well, so
get up there.
A round of applause.
I'm going to play Valerie for the day and take a picture. Mayor, that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mike. And would it be safe to say that we'll be putting something out about this new storm that's trekking across as soon as it gets closer to us and we have another update on that?
As soon as we have more assurance on where it's headed, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, moving forward, at this time, we'll move on to public comments. At this time, any person with city-related business may speak to the city council. If the topic of a discussion is not related to an item on the agenda, the comments may be made now or at the time the agenda item is discussed. If the topic of discussion is not related to an item on the agenda, the city council cannot deliberate or take any action. At this time, comments from the public should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per individual, and there will be no yielding of time permitted. Would anybody like to address the council? Feel free, state your name and address when you approach there. Can we make sure that's turned on?
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Burrell. I reside at 123 Narcissus Road, corner of Juniper and North Shore. I spoke with Mayor Cronister on a recent encounter I had with one of our rookie officers. I contacted my attorney because my civil rights were violated. He has contacted the Texas State Attorney General. I simply got home from a wedding and going to the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio. And Mary Ellen and I had just pulled in the driveway and there was a drone flying over my home. So I called the dispatch as Chief Donaldson had recommended I do. The dispatcher said, "What is the problem?" I said, "There's a drone flying over my home and it's causing me concern because unfortunately I'm a divorced individual and my ex is under the influence of drugs and alcohol. She resides in Friendswood and she's been spying. It's been made to my attention, my attorney said she's been spying on what Mary Ellen and I are doing on Narcissus. And she said maybe I ought to consider moving." And I said, this is my home. I love this community. I moved here 16 months ago. Dispatch said, "Who would you like to respond?" Well, I saw two of our officers on 2094. We'd just driven back from Bush Airport. And the supervisor was this new fella, Officer Locke, great big imposing fella. I had simply told the dispatcher I was concerned because this drone, if it escaped, I wanted him to be able to identify and prove, because my attorney said we have lots to go on to put her behind bars because she is dangerous and armed and has threatened my life and the life of my children and Gracie, my soon-to-be stepdaughter. Officer Locke intimidated me. He treated me as a criminal, not as a resident. I identified myself as a resident. I said, "Sir, that's my home right there." He said, "I want you to put your hands in the air. I said, "Here's my identification. You can tell who I am." And he said, "Are you armed?" I said, "Yes, I am. I'm always armed under statutes that permit me to be a licensed carrier." He said, "Where is that firearm?" I said, "It's in my back left pocket." He said, "Do not put your hands down." He removed my firearm. He removed the magazine. I advised him it was chambered and locked, and he did all this, took my driver's license, took my everything right in the middle of the road, embarrassed me, and violated my civil rights. I said, "Sir, what is the problem?" He said, "I believe you're under the influence of drugs and alcohol." And I said, "I have not had a single drip board. I don't do drugs. I'm a first officer for United Airlines. I work with both Jeff Terrell. I used to fly at ExpressJet with Jeff Terrell and Rick Fisher at ExpressJet Airlines. I'm a professional." And for him to accuse me of being under the influence of drugs and alcohol, I told him, "That's the folks behind us here. I just pulled in my driveway." He intimidated Mary Ellen to make sure that I was telling the truth. He made me sit crisscross applesauce in the middle of the road. I said, "This is too hot. I don't want to sit here. I'm burning up." I came from the clinic because I'm diagnosed with stage 3 skin cancer, and this officer didn't listen to a word I said. And I said, "Sir, you are embarrassing me, and you're treating me as the criminal. The criminal is the one flying the drone." And I said, "I want to get off the ground." And he said, "You stay right there until I get down to the bottom of this." Great big man, much bigger than I am. I'm a $150 wringing wet. And I told him, I said, "Don't do this." So he had Mary Ellen crying in my driveway. Jim and Susan Bragg were coming around the corner. They saw this. Gracie and her girlfriend were sitting in the window watching this. it's embarrassing to me. So at the advice of my attorney, we've contacted the State Attorney General, and he has notified me that we will be litigating against the City of Clear Lake Shores Police Department. And I just want you all to be aware that this is what's going to be happening very soon. Officer Locke is new. I tried to give him grace. Once he allowed me to stand, he placed my firearm. I said, can I have my firearm back? He said, well, are you going to hurt yourself or anybody else? Because I believe you're mentally unstable. And I said, brother, I'm not unstable. I said, why do you think that? He said, do you want to hurt yourself? I said, I'm a saved man. I'm a man of faith. I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to hurt Grace. I don't want to hurt Mary Ellen. I don't want to hurt any of my neighbors. I said, I don't understand what's going on. I just reported a drone. He said, well, on my dispatch it says 911 call. You're going to shoot the drone if we didn't come. You may not do that. You cannot discharge a firearm in the city limits. I said, well, I can. Actually, I can. And he said, no, you cannot unless your safety is being threatened. And I explained to him why my safety was being threatened. I said, go check the HPD report I filed in 22, the restraining order I have against that woman. In 23, against her new husband, who said he was coming to Texas to throw hands and make sure this never happens again, et cetera, et cetera. It's all over Facebook. And I've already exceeded my 3 minutes probably, so. And I hate, this has been a nice thing for Cheryl, and I hate to do this, but I think you guys all ought to be aware about it, because I'm going to name Officer Locke and the whole Clear Lake Shores Police Department, because my attorney advised me not to go to Chief Donaldson, and he let him handle it, and the State Attorney General said they're going to handle this. So if there's any questions I can answer for any of you, I'd be glad to, and I thank you, for each and every single one of you, for your jobs. You're doing a fantastic job. I can't thank you enough. This is a great community. I've got great neighbors. The McKelskys are fantastic. The Braggs are fantastic. The Masseys are fantastic. Casey and Laura Broussard are fantastic. You know, last year when I moved here, I volunteered to do a lot of stuff, and then all of a sudden I started getting a little blowback that things were weird. Well, that was the previous administration. Sergeant Flores was very nice. In fact, when Officer Locke responded, I said, I'd like to speak to Chief Donaldson. He said, he's unavailable. I said, I'd like to speak to Sergeant Flores. He said, not going to happen. I said, well, who's in charge? The officer with him said, he's running the show right now. Just calm down and relax. And we were kind of talking as he was intimidating Mary Ellen. He's like, do you know Tony Mosley? I said, I sure do. Mosley did this, that, and the other. Oh, my gosh. Do you know Glenn Clemens? I sure do.
Yeah, I hate to cut you, but I'll let you go about 6 minutes, so I'm going to let you wrap it up.
Thank you.
But
Okay,
if you don't mind, wrap
I
it
just
up.
want to let you know what's going on. I get a little long-winded. I'm a little emotional because of, you know, this hurricane that's in the ocean. I'm back and forth between MD Anderson and the Cleveland Clinic because of this diagnosis. And I'm just trying to be a productive member of society here and do the best I can and give these young kids an example. And it was embarrassing to me, and he violated my civil rights. These girls, young girls, 20 and 21 years old, are watching this happen, and they're thinking, you just got home from this wedding in the clinic. Why are you being arrested in the road? And I'm like, I wasn't arrested. I said, I was detained. He can't detain me, legally detain me. So anyway, thank you, everybody, and I hope you all have a blessed weekend. Let's be safe this weekend and keep your eyes on the golf, okay? Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council at this time?
So my name is Mike Pettit. I live on 818 Cedar. And on a lighter note, I guess getting back to Water Wars for a moment. Thank you, Rick Fisher, for not being here. As you know, Rick runs...
You can thank me. I made him pick up a trip.
Okay,
No, I'm
great.
kidding.
As you know, Rick runs a real war wagon there, and he shoots like freezing cold water, and he can start hitting you for about 40 feet away. So that was really nice not to have you around this year, Rick. Miss you, not. But anyway, so my question, though, so I've lived here a couple of years, and the first couple of years, I mean, there's a lot of traffic on the island over the 4th, and I noticed particularly on East and North that you get people parking on both sides of the road, which left one lane going through there. And so at that point, the traffic that had the leverage to use the road was going one direction until that traffic was gone, and then the other opposing people could now use it going the opposite direction. So what are our plans this year as far as allowing people on the island? And I don't know how many people we have invited, if any, but so what would be the rules as far as getting guests on the island for the 4th of July?
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the council?
So my name is Mike Pettit. I live on 818 Cedar. And on a lighter note, I guess getting back to Water Wars for a moment. Thank you, Rick Fisher, for not being here. As you know, Rick runs a real war wagon there, and he shoots like freezing cold water, and he can start hitting you for about 40 feet away. So that was really nice not to have you around this year, Rick. Miss you, not. But anyway, so
Thanks. I'm glad I'm following Mike and not Chris. But the main purpose of me staying here today is thanks for putting it on the sign. I did mention that. Action came. Appreciate it. That's really cool. Thanks, again, for idiots like me. And then while I was here, I was thinking, you'd mentioned the parking lot, getting plans.
Excuse me one second. Could you tell us your name and
Oh,
your
I'm sorry.
address?
John Adams, 508 Pine.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry about that. When the plans for the parking lot are in approval or approved or ready to go, just because I have a nerdy thing about architecture type stuff, is that going to be posted? You know, those drawings going to be available for the common guy to check out and look at or not? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to address council at this time? All right. If not, we're going to close the public comments, and we're going to move on to the consent agenda, the check register, and the council meeting minutes of 5:30:24 through 6:26:24, and the council meeting minutes of 6:4:24. We have any motions?
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda, items A and B with the one correction I gave you there, Angie.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion by Rick, got a second by Amanda. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion passes unanimous. Moving down to number 7, new business. Discussion of possible action may be taken on the following items. Item A, ordinance 2024-09, an ordinance adopting amendment number 5 to the approved budget of the City of Clear Lake Shores for the fiscal year 23, increasing the amounts and expenditure accounts of the general and roads and drainage funds due to unforeseen situations, containing findings, providing severability, and providing for other details relating thereto. I know this is under my name, but I'm going to defer to our award-winning CFO.
National award.
Superstar. So this, I know earlier this year I presented a final budget amendment for fiscal 2023, but during the audit process we had just a couple of adjustments that weren't, it was normal adjustments, but so it threw some accounts over budget. So this is truly the final one to make that budget in line, and the audit is finished. Will be presented August the 6th at that meeting. It's ready. They just closed their office this week, so that's why they couldn't be here today. So it's a matter of formality, and that's all it is.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. So this is basically just getting in line with
Yeah,
closing out that budget.
Yeah, it's just those couple of adjustments through these accounts over, and in order to avoid getting a little management letter comment, we do this. So
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve ordinance 2024-09.
All right, got a motion by Amanda,
I'll second it.
got a second by Rick. Is that you, Rick? Yes. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Motion passes unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to item B, Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool, Cyber Liability and Data Breach Response Interlocal Agreement. Mike Cram.
Thank you. So we were contacted by TML and advised that they are going to separate the cyber liability and data breach portion of our insurance policy into its own fund. So that will no longer be just an inclusive part of our general insurance policy. It's going to be a separate one we have to opt into. We are already covered at the maximum stage of it. This isn't going to change. It's just going to require a separate funding pool on their end. So we have to actually opt into this to retain it so that they can create a separate funding pool for it like they have for other funding pools that they have. So it's really a formality.
Okay.
So you need action from us?
Do we need action, or are you
opt
just
in?
letting us know?
Yes, we need action from you to approve it because it's another contractual agreement with TML.
Okay. We have a motion?
I'll move to, opting in or to approve, how should it be worded?
Approve.
have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
Okay, got a second by Jeff Terrell. Any discussion on the matter? Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion passes unanimous. Moving to item C, Gulf Coast Aquatics, 2024-25 pool management contract. Mike Cramp?
Yes, we are currently operating with an expired or unsigned pool contract. Christy is going through and cleaning up a bunch of the old contract stuff that she wasn't able to find originals on and that kind of stuff, so we're making sure that we have that stuff in a row moving forward. As part of her reorganization structure there, she is creating a calendar to put all of our contracts, interlocals, and that kind of stuff on so that we can set alerts for when they're coming due, when we need to go out with a new bid process or a proposal process before we find out that the contract's expired. This is one of those that we need to re-up.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on that contract?
I make a motion that we re-up the contract with Gulf Coast Aquatics for the pool management contract.
Okay,
I'll second that.
got a motion by Rick, got a second by Ed. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to item D, Aspen Street Investments LLC ground lease agreement extension for 1 year, parking area in the east parking lot. Mike Cramp.
So as council's probably aware, the owner of Aspen owns a portion of that east parking lot area. As we were looking at the project moving forward, we realized this was one of those contracts that we had with him for 5 years to rent it for him each year for a moderate amount, and that had just expired. So I contacted him. We renewed it for a year so that we can get through the contract bidding and the whole process with the parking lot and move forward from there. He's already signed it. He's willing to do it. He wants to move forward with it. He wants to be part of a successful story with that area.
Okay. You got a motion to approve that contract?
I make a motion that we approve the Aspen Streets Investments LLC ground lease agreement extension for 1 year.
Okay, got a motion by Ed? Got a second by Amanda. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion passes unanimous. Brings us to item 8, discussion, review proposed budget plan and calendar for fiscal year 2024-2025. This has no name, so you're up, award winner.
Okay. I can do a budget, but I can't do a microphone. So this is the budget calendar that we put together, Mike and I and Christy and I put together. But these are just tentative dates because we know that your schedule is, going to be in conflict with some of these dates. And so instead of emailing everyone and then, emailing back and forth, we thought it would be easier for us just to get together here and decide if any of you know what your schedule will be during those dates, or if there's a particular date that is not going to work or be better, or if you want to take these home and then get back with me or Mike or Christy. It's totally up to you. But we just want to get this calendar started so we can get the budget process started for fiscal 2025.
It looks good to me.
Okay. So all the dates good with you?
So on the Tuesday, August 6th, that budget workshop will be prior to the council meeting then?
Yes. So all of these will be are scheduled to be prior to the council meeting.
The ones that are on council days?
Yes.
I think it's really just that
yes.
August one. Oh, it's the September one maybe.
Some of these don't fall on council dates.
Yeah, just the
So
August one.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
So if I may, at that first meeting, remember I mentioned something about bringing your big ticket items, okay? Your pipe dream items, whatever you think are the most important things that we need to move forward with in the coming budget years, especially over the next 1 to 5. Those items that we can't fund in a singular year, that we have to put away money for, so Cheryl can make a plan to roll over and start saving for these big projects. I ask that you bring your top 2 or 3 to that August 6th meeting. have them written down so we can collectively look at those all together. You guys can rank the very most important ones and put them in an order of priority. And that will give Cheryl and I a better grasp of how we need to focus our budget, especially on the big end, the long-term things, because that's going to drive what we have left for everything else. The first one's when?
The first budget workshop.
July 9th?
Yeah.
That's, okay, good. That's closer, so few of you will forget about it. The July 9th one, if you can bring that list of items to that so we can start off with that and start working through the budget from there, that would be helpful.
And
That July 9th one, it doesn't have city council listed, but that is for city council also? It just says city administrator and finance director.
well, the workshops are in between. I know. July 9th. Yes. Even though we're only doing one council meeting a month, we got these workshops in between here, because we can't wait, a month to start the budget process. But I also have I can email you the format that you can fill out if you'd like. It's a form. It's basically a questionnaire form and then that'll make it easier for you. And then you can just fill it out, bring it to that meeting. You can email it back or drop it off.
Yeah, I was going to say, feel free, as soon as you get those ideas put down, email them to us. And that way we can bring them to the meeting and be prepared and have a list for you guys to consider.
Says here you had a questionnaire for us. Did you not bring it?
That's the questionnaire, yeah.
Okay.
So everybody, I know the pilots may be,
Yeah, pretty much on my schedule about a month out.
Yeah.
July works. I don't
Yeah.
have the August schedule yet,
Yeah.
so.
okay. Yeah, and some of these, we may not need to have, we may get, far enough into this process that we may not need to have all of them. So, but the first couple ones are the most important.
Will you put together a binder for us and then like I did last year? That's so amazing.
Yes, I will do that.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay. Is that all the discussion on that item? Okay. With nothing else, we will close the meeting at 7:00.